कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद Shri Harinam Sankirtanam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Maitreya Uvacha Pitrabhyam Prasthite Sadhi Patimingita Kovida Nityam Paryacharat Pritya Bhavaniva Bhavam Prabhum Pitrabhyam Prasthite Sadhi Patim Ingita Kovida Nityam Paryacharat Pritya Bhavaniva Bhavam Prabhum Pitrabhyam Prasthite Sadvi Patim Ingita Kovida Nityam Paryacharat Pritya Bhavaniva Bhavam Prabhum. We have two more verses, we will recite that also. Vishrambhenatma Shauchena Gauravena Damena Cha Shushrushaya Sauhridena Vacha Madhuraya Chabho Visajya Kamam Dhambham Cha Dvesham Lobham Magham Madam Apramatodhyata Nityam Tejiyam Sammatoshayat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Word to word meaning. Maitreya Uvacha. Maitreya said, Pitrabhyam, by the parents, Prasthite, at the departure, Sadhvi, the chaste woman, Patim, her husband, Ingita Kovida, understanding the desires, Nityam, constantly, Paryacharat, she served, Pritya, with great love, Bhavani, the goddess Parvati, Iva, like, Bhavam, Lord Shiva, Prabhum, her Lord. Translation. Maitreya continued, after the departure of her parents, the chaste woman Devahuti, who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love, as Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, serves her husband. Translation of second verse. O Vidura, Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love and with sweet words. Working sanely and diligently, she pleased her very powerful husband, giving up all lust, pride, envy, greed, sinful activities and vanity. purport. The specific example of Bhavani is very significant. Bhavani means the wife of Bhava or Lord Shiva. Bhavani or Parvati, the daughter of the king of the Himalayas, selected Lord Shiva, who appears to be just like a beggar, as her husband. In spite of her being a princess, she undertook all kinds of tribulations to associate with Lord Shiva, who did not even have a house, but was sitting underneath the trees and passing his time in meditation. Although Bhavani was the daughter of a very great king, she used to serve Lord Shiva just like a poor woman. Similarly, Devahuti was the daughter of an emperor, Swayambhuva Manu. Yet, she preferred to accept Kardama Muni as her husband. She served him with great love and affection, and she knew how to please him. Therefore, she is designated here as Sadhvi, which means a chaste, faithful wife. A rare example is the ideal of Vedic civilization. Every woman is expected to be as good and chaste as Devahuti or Bhavani. Today in Hindu society, unmarried girls are still taught to worship Lord Shiva with the idea that they may get husbands like him. Lord Shiva is the ideal husband, not in the sense of riches or sense gratification, but because he is the greatest of all devotees. Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. Shambhu or Lord Shiva is the ideal Vaishnava. He constantly meditates upon Lord Rama and chants Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Shiva has a Vaishnava Sampradaya, which is called the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. Unmarried girls worship Lord Shiva so that they can expect a husband who is as good a Vaishnava as he. The girls are not taught to select a husband who is very rich or very opulent for material sense gratification. Rather, if a girl is fortunate enough to get a husband as good as Lord Shiva in devotional service, then her life becomes perfect. The wife is dependent on the husband, and if the husband is a Vaishnava, then naturally she shares the devotional service of the husband because she renders him service. This reciprocation of service and love between husband and wife is the ideal of a householder's life. Here, two words are very significant. Devahuti served her husband in two ways, Vishrambhena and Gauravena. These are two important processes in serving the husband or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishrambhena means with intimacy and Gauravena means with great reverence. The husband is a very intimate friend, therefore the wife must render service just like an intimate friend. And at that same time, she must understand that the husband is superior in position, and thus she must offer him all respect. A man's psychology and a woman's psychology are different, as constituted by bodily frame. A man always wants to be superior to his wife, and a woman, as bodily constituted, is naturally inferior to her husband. Thus, the natural instinct is that the husband wants to post himself as superior to the wife, and this must be observed. Even if there is some wrong on the part of the husband, the wife must tolerate it, and thus there will be no misunderstanding between husband and wife. Vishrambhena means with intimacy, but it must not be familiarity that breeds contempt. According to the Vedic civilization, a wife cannot call her husband by name. In the present civilization, the wife calls her husband by name, but in Hindu civilization, she does not. Thus, the inferiority and superiority complexes are recognized. Damenacha, a wife has to learn to control herself even if there is a misunderstanding. Sauhridena vacha madhuraya means always desiring good for the husband and speaking to him with sweet words. A person becomes agitated by so many material contacts in the outside world. Therefore, in his home life, he must be treated by his wife with sweet words. Here are some of the qualities of a great husband's great wife. Kardama Muni is a great by spiritual qualification. Such a husband is called Teji Yamsam, most powerful. Although a wife may be equal to her husband in advancement in spiritual consciousness, she should not be vainly proud. Sometimes it happens that the wife comes from a very rich family, as did Devahuti, the daughter of Emperor Swayambhu Manu. She could have been very proud of her parentage, but that is forbidden. The wife should not be proud of her parental position. She must always be submissive to the husband and must give up all vanity. As soon as the wife becomes proud of her parentage, her pride creates great misunderstanding between the husband and wife, and their nuptial life is ruined. Devahuti was very careful about that, and therefore it is said here that she gave up pride completely. Devahuti was not unfaithful. The most sinful activity for a wife is to accept another husband or another lover. Chanakya Pandita has described 4 kinds of enemies at home. If the father is in debt, he is considered to be an enemy. If the mother has selected another husband in the presence of her grown-up children, she is considered to be an enemy. If a wife does not live well with her husband but deals very roughly, then she is an enemy. And if a son is a fool, he is also an enemy. In a family life, father, mother, wife, and children are assets. But if the wife or mother accepts another husband in the presence of her husband or son, then according to Vedic civilization, she is considered an enemy. A chaste and faithful woman must not practice adultery. That is greatly sinful act. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sa Agrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sa Avadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Cha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Yiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So it's a very amazing topic to speak on. But the topic is given is ideal qualities of a disciple. So this topic is, we are not qualified to talk. The way the purport is going is different. But we can compare it to a disciple's life also. A wife can be compared to a disciple who is serving the spiritual master. In modern scenario, talking about this is a little controversial thing. But fact is a fact. But I am not qualified to speak this topic per se. But we can learn good principles from Mother Devahuti, how an ideal disciple has to live. First of all, I seek blessings of His Grace, Bhaktivinoda Prabhuji. Bhaktivinoda Prabhuji ki jai. So after the departure of her parents, a chaste woman Devahuti who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love, as Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, serves her husband. So here it is quite a good comparison is given actually, Bhavani to Mother Devahuti, because Bhavani, she gives material facilities and assets to all the people who pray to her in this world. But she herself is staying under the tree with the husband Shiva. She is not asking for palace and wealth and things like that. And Devahuti also same. Though she is a daughter of great king Swayambhu Manu, he is the first Manvantara Manu. So, but she is not worried that Kardama, who is staying in the forest in a hermitage, she has to serve him. She is not complaining, oh, what is this? I am such a great parentage, but I am serving a low-class husband. No. Here he is kind of Teji Yamsa. Kardama is addressed as Teji Yamsa, means spiritually very, very well qualified. So much so that Lord personally appeared to him and gave instruction. So that is what the consideration in the Vedic times, that not the material riches, but what is the character of the husband. What is the character of the husband? That is what is stressed upon. And an intelligent woman always used to choose a well-qualified husband and spiritually qualified and well-charactered and well-behaved personality, not the richest. But now it is completely opposite. Whatever the character is, don't worry, but if you have money, that is the qualification. But that is not true. So, one question comes is that accepting authority. Vedic times, without authority nothing works. Everyone is under someone. No one is left independent. Whoever it is, till demigods, till from ants to demigods, everyone is someone under guidance of someone. So, but in modern times, in Kali Yuga, what happens? No one wants authority. Everyone wants to be independent. But this kind of a consciousness will degrade the civilization and the society. So authority must be there. For a wife, husband is authority. For a husband, guru is authority. And for a disciple, guru is authority. For a student, teacher is authority. Like that, you can see in every section of life, one sees that there is someone who is guiding the dependent, the follower. And therefore, following is seen as very wrong in a Kali Yuga scenario. You are following some person. But they follow YouTubes, they follow Instagrams. But that following is also for their sense gratification. So in Kali Yuga, everything is what is in for me, selfishness. I will follow a person if he is providing me sense gratification. If he speaks nicely, I feel nice. No. That is not the criteria for following. Following means one should be ready to upgrade one's character and spiritual consciousness by following a superior personality, by serving him, by meditating on his instructions. One can get the qualities that person has. So therefore one should accept a guru, a spiritual master in advancing in spiritual life, so that one can be elevated to a better spiritual consciousness. Now we have material consciousness. In material consciousness, one cannot understand what spiritual knowledge is all about. One has to get rid of ignorance. Ignorance is the main cause of the problems. Avidya, kama, karma, bihi. Because of ignorance, material desires are there. And because of material desires, one engages in material activity. And that activity binds us in this world. The more we bound in this world and more we engage in material desires and materialistic activities, the more the ignorance gets deeper and deeper. So one has to get rid of this avidya, ignorance. For that one requires a person who is in vidya, or who is at least trying to be following the path of vidya, which is given in the scriptures. Therefore, one has to accept a superior authority and serve him by menially, humbly, menially, with respect, with devotion, etc. So is in scenario of, in 7th canto, Narada Muni says the qualities of a brahmachari or disciple. Brahmachari means student. Student means disciple. So So brahmachari gurukule vasandanto gurorhitam acharan dasavan nicho guror sudrida sauhridam. Something similar is said here also. Vishrambhena gauravena. Vishrambhena means intimately serving. And that intimacy is not the way we think of, familiarity breeds contempt. Prabhupada also talks about it. This intimacy is with the respect also. Our sense of respect is also there, but he is serving very friendly, serving in a very friendly mood. Official mood, no one likes. You're officially serving some person, no one likes. But with the devotion, with respect, with humility, you're serving some person is always appreciated. So this is the underlying principle of any following. There is obedience is there, and this sense of discipline is there, and self-control. DOS formula, DOS, discipline, obedience, and self-control and sense control. This should be there. Without this, society is going to be in a chaotic condition, because without authority, one will accept one's own mind as the authority. When one accepts the mind as authority, which is uncontrolled, which is impure from so many impressions from the past life and in this life, then one will be definitely going to be ruined in his life, frustrated and unhappy and depressed and anxiety ridden. But one should accept a superior person who is under the scriptural, who is studied scriptures, who is following the scriptures as authority, by which one can be trained properly in one's life. So vasan danto gurur hira. Danto means one should control his senses. So sense control is important. Self-control, sense control, being tolerant, submissive, respectful, devoted, dedicated. All these qualities are very, very vital of a disciple, student. So these qualities were given in a Gurukul kind of a setting. In schools, in Vedic times, Gurukul education is given. And in that kind of a setting, a student is trained properly. But in modern education, what happens is, then you be proud of yourself. You have to become. The education is making people more and more proud, instead of it making people humble. Vidyam dadati vinayam. Bhagavad Gita Krishna also says, what is it? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. The quality of Vidya is, anyone who is a person who is having knowledge, is that he is naturally is humble. And Chaitanya Charitamrita also is there. Phalavanta Vrikshahara Gunavanta Jan Namrita Setahara Tahara Swabhava Anukshan. Means that a tree filled with fruits is naturally is bent. Same way, a person with full, very nice qualities, filled with nice qualities, is naturally humble, is bent. Bent means to be submissive, humble, humility. But a person with pride thinks that I am very knowledgeable. That means he doesn't actually have real knowledge. The 20 items of knowledge Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita also, in 13th chapter, verse 8, that amanitvam adambit. No. What is that? Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa kshantirarjavam, acharya upasanam, shaucham, maunam, atma vinigraha, indriyateshu vairagyam. So all these are the items of knowledge. What constitutes knowledge and what constitutes ignorance. So of course Krishna says whatever else there may be out of these 20 items is ignorance. So we can study that and see what is knowledge, what is ignorance. So therefore acting in ignorance is condemned. It is not right. So one who is acting in ignorance, one can validate one's own actions on that context. What constitutes knowledge, what doesn't constitute knowledge. What constitutes ignorance and what constitutes knowledge, one can oneself check if by seeing one's own behavior in one's life, rather than trying to show who is right, who is wrong. So one's right and wrong can be decided by scriptural authority and not by mental speculation. Jai Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. So Vedic way of Gurukula education setting, that kind of a training, severe training is given to control the mind and senses of a student. And he is supposed to follow the instructions of spiritual Guru, the master, very, very strictly. They cannot disobey him. That is the kind of training is given. So obedience is such an important quality for a disciple, student. To be obey. Because in childhood, if one is trained to be obedient, he will be obedient throughout his life also, to the elders, to the superiors, to the teachers. But one is not trained like that. One is given freedom too much in childhood, then they cannot be properly, in the whole life they will not be obedient to anyone. And that is modern life. Even if students nowadays do something in the school, colleges, you cannot correct them. If you correct them, police case, something. I think police cases, if you beat them and all. And during our time, teachers used to beat with the whatnot. But still, you have to be silent. You cannot. It gives a lot of mental strength also to the students, eventually. The training is very important. And obedience. Because without obedience, one cannot grow. Without obedience to the spiritual master. So people think, why should I obey? But that kind of arrogance will not lead a person to any good. Tapasya has to be there. Without tapasya, one cannot grow. Whoever follows one's own mind, he cannot grow spiritually or any field of success. Want to attain success in any field, one cannot grow by following one's own mind alone. One has to put the mind under some superior authority and be guided properly in scriptural principles. Then only one can grow. Even material success also, they have to do some kind of austerity. They have to control their eating, control their sleeping, they have to control their talking. Everything they have to be some sense of austerity they also have to follow, even to achieve material success. Then what to speak about spiritual success? One has to control the mind and senses and follow tapasya, path of austerities called divya tapasya. Rishabdev also says, Nayam deha deha vajam raloke kashtan kaman arhate vidbujami tapo divyam. Divya tapasya one should perform. Divyam putrakayena sattam shuddhyed yasman brahma saukhyam tu anantam. So tapasya, nature of tapasya is initially it will be difficult, but eventually it will be brahma saukhyam, spiritual happiness. That is the nature of tapasya. But material tapasya leads to material success and material sense gratification. And that leads to degradation, material success. So like that. And then obedience. Then discipline. One should be disciplined. To follow the instructions of the spiritual master 100%. Whatever the spiritual master says, one should be very diligent and very conscious and very enthusiastic to follow the instructions. Not that this I like, I will follow this. This I don't like, I don't follow this. That is like a biased idea of following. So in scripture also when people read, they take what they like, and they reject what they don't like. Like they are actually putting their mind only in reading. But scriptures has to be read under the direction of the spiritual master. Spiritual master tells, okay, you do this, you don't do this, you do this, you don't do this. So accordingly, one should be very enthusiastic and consciously apply the principles of discipline. Prabhupada said, attend morning program, chanting, attending Mangalarti, reading Bhagavatam, attending Bhagavatam lecture, and other entire morning program. And then read 3 Bhagavatam every day, 3 hours. Prabhupada, in some places, Prabhupada says 2 hours, 3 hours. But how many of us follow that? It's very difficult. So we can implement a sense of discipline in one's life by at least 1 hour. Right? At least 1 hour one should try to read Prabhupada books. Without reading Prabhupada books, we cannot get rid of ignorance. That is for sure. If you are not reading Prabhupada books, our wanting to hear also is less only. The inspiration to serve, inspiration to hear, everything is reduced if you don't have knowledge. Knowledge is very important. One should endeavor in that direction, doing sadhana nicely. of course, it is Lord's mercy that delivers us, but one should endeavor to get that Lord's mercy. One should endeavor to receive the Lord's mercy. Otherwise, we cannot just say, "Oh, why not Lord merciful to me?" Lord is merciful. He has given the process of mercy, chanting, reading, hearing. That is the mercy of the Lord. So actually, the opportunity to do chanting, hearing, reading itself is a blessings. Itself is a mercy. If you are able to do that, that itself is sufficient. A person is drowning in the well, and another person comes and throws the rope to come above. And he is thinking, why the person is not helping me? Why is he not picking me up? But he is putting the rope. You have to catch the rope first. You have to catch the rope first. Then he will help. He will pull you up. But we don't catch the rope only until telling, "Oh, why he is not helping? Why he is not helping?" That like that. So Krishna has given the process. The ropes. What is the rope? Chanting, hearing, reading, association of devotees, Bhagavatam, holy places, Tulsi Maharani, deities, what not he has given. Everything he has sent for the deliverance of the jivas. But we are not holding on to it. We are holding on to some other creeper in the well, thinking that this will save me. Everyone is seeking shelter, but that shelter is put in a wrong place, not in the right place. Because of seeking shelter in wrong place, one is frustrated. One seeks shelter in material obligation, then one will not be satisfied. Sense objects will not be satisfied. When one puts shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord, one is satisfied. So that is about discipline. Discipline in life. Creating a regulated program, coming to mode of goodness. In mode of goodness, knowledge and happiness is natural. One can understand spiritual knowledge very properly. When ignorance, scriptural knowledge doesn't, even if you hear and study also, it doesn't enter. We cannot apply because ignorance is too much. But one has to come to the mode of goodness. But this is a process. By performing the devotional activities, this is the process to come to the mode of goodness. And after coming to the mode of goodness, the actual bhakti starts. The Prabhupada in one purport writes that the devotional service actually starts from the mode of goodness. What is that verse? Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also speaks. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. So one has to come to the Brahma Bhuta platform. From there, madbhakti starts. Bhakti labate param. Para bhakti starts. Till then, whatever bhakti we perform is to come to that point. After that, actual bhakti starts. Therefore, coming to the mode of goodness is very, very important. Sundarshan Vishnu, that mode of goodness is like the runway where the flight can take off. Transcendence. So, but till then, you are coming in the car and coming to the airport. So, you have to first come to the airport to fly. But if you don't come to the airport, you cannot get flight in bus stop. You have to go to airport only. So, same way, if you want to go transcendence, achieve transcendence, spiritual absorption, you have to come to at least mode of goodness. Then one can go to fly to spiritual absorption. But if the mercy of a spiritual master is there, wherever you are, it can be lifted. If spiritual master's mercy is there, because spiritual master's mercy is like an helicopter coming and lifting a person who is traveling cycle. Person is going in a cycle in the road. If he has to fly, what is the only possibility? Helicopter comes and lifts him up through a rope. Correct? No? That is, then it is possible. That is like the mercy of the spiritual master. He can be lifted. But if it is not, one has to at least go to the station, the airport. Then you can fly. So, one should do activities in mode of goodness. That which nourishes mode of goodness and which enriches the mode of goodness, then one will come to the mode of goodness. And what are the activities in mode of goodness? We all know it. Get up early in the morning, don't sleep late in the night, and chant the holy names of the Lord, serve the devotees, and keep the things clean, cleanliness, austerity, all that will bring the person in mode of goodness. And many, many items are there. We can study the three modes of material nature that Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita also and Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto also. Yes. So, but in the Kali Yuga scenario, everyone wants to be independent. No one wants to authority. And because of that, whimsical behavior and taking decisions on one's own strength, people end up in trouble. Even in governmental laws, and every level, and even in family, in any educational institutions, even in government, people take decisions based on their mental ideas only. And those ideas is definitely going to be frustrated in someone. They think that this will be a solution for some problem, but that solution is going to be a bigger problem. As Prahlad Maharaj also says, Dukkha ushadam tadapi dukkham atadhyaha. It's the solution for medicine for one problem became a bigger problem. So medicine means solution. Solution for one problem became a bigger problem. Like that we can see so many in this modern scenario, how solution to one problem became a bigger problem in the life. People thought that we will walk. Walking is very difficult. Let us create some vehicles, automobiles. So they started inventing tires, automobiles, engine, and then started traveling in automobiles, cars. Then if a car has to travel, then there has to be roads. Okay, road banao. Road kaise banao? Forest kato. Cut down the forest trees and make roads. For that, what in the petroleum industry, the machinery, factory, go to middle of the ocean. Vehicle requires petrol. Take out, dig the earth, remove the petrol. So much nature gets imbalanced because of one need, and nature hits back also. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj gives a lecture also, how one chapati comes in the plate. And in the Vedic time, how it comes? You grow the wheat in the fields, in your neighborhood. The fields are there. You grow the wheat, remove the field, grind it, and eat. Make chapati and eat. But in the modern time, you want chapati, what you have to do? Go to shop and buy wheat powder. And that comes from where? Factory. And factory, whole huge factory has to run for that. And transportation vehicles are required. For that, petrol is required. And for the petrol industry, vehicle industry, automobile industry. So many complications to get one chapati in the plate. If one world war happens, you don't get your chapati. Because no transportation, heavy cost, inflation. So unsustainable living. Simplicity is lost. That is the fallacy of the modern civilization. Everything they want to centralize, and that centralization creates such a huge impact in everyone's life. Therefore, this is a different topic anyway. I'm going to be a sustainable living, but the topic is to be obedient to the scriptures, obedient to the authority. So when people decide something on their mental ideas, it's going to create much further problems. Government is bringing out rules, passing bills, this has to be done, that has to be done. Everything is coming according to the mental speculations. And actually in 11th canto Krishna speaks also, whatever, let me show. A very nice verse. The series of verses how one cannot put trust on mind, mental ideas. One should accept authority. Then only one's knowledge in life is proper. One's life is going in the right way. If one doesn't accept authority, one's mental ideas, one cannot be sure that he is following the right thing. That which is expressed by material words or meditated upon by material mind is not ultimate truth. What therefore is actually good or bad within this insubstantial world of duality, and how can the extent of such good and bad be measured? Although shadows, echoes, and mirages are only illusory reflections. Okay, these are different. Yeah. Just as the embodied spirit soul loses external consciousness when his senses are overcome by the illusion of dreaming or the death-like state of deep sleep, so a person experiencing material duality must encounter illusion and death. So when one is in material conditioned life, one is in illusion. What one does is not in knowledge. So one has to come to the platform of knowledge in his action. One has to follow authority. Therefore, authority is important. And the ultimate authority for everyone is the scriptures. And scripture is like mother, no? To understand who is the father. By following scriptures, one can understand the nature of the Lord, who is God, where he stays, everything. But one tries to understand the nature of God by one's own material mind. One cannot understand that. Right? Kim abhadram va dvaitasya vastunah kiyat vachoditam tadandrutam manasa dhyatam evacha. And the actual truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything emanates, by whom everything is maintained, and in whom everything urges to rest. Material nature is the reflection of the absolute truth, and by the interaction of the material modes of nature, the innumerable varieties of matter appear to be separate, independent truths. Maya, illusion, distracts the conditioned soul from the absolute truth and absorbs his mind in glaring manifestation of matter, which ultimately is not different from the absolute truth. Being an emanation from him, the sense of good and bad as separate from the Supreme Lord is like the good and bad dreams experienced by a sleeping person. Good and bad dreams are equally unreal. Similarly, the material good and evil have no permanent existence separate from the personality of Godhead. So when we try to say this is good, this is bad, there actually no substantiality is there, because is everything coming from the material mind only. Therefore, government is passing some rules and institution passing some kind of a system with their taking shelter of their material mind or material minds, and they come and discuss together and decide something. But that doesn't have any substance if it is not based on scriptures. Therefore, the decisions one makes in authority making a decision has to be in line with the scriptures, and therefore one should follow authority who follows scriptures. Therefore, following a spiritual master who is completely dedicated to the service of the Lord is very important. One should not follow Google, Facebook, YouTube. One should follow living spiritual master who is dedicated to the service of spiritual master, who is propagating the spiritual knowledge. By such a dedicated service to the spiritual master, one receives spiritual knowledge. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Pranipat, pariprashna and seva. This is the way to receive knowledge. This is the proper education system. First, surrender to the spiritual master. Pranipat, pay obeisances, surrender. Then inquire submissively. By inquiring submissively and receiving the answers for your submissive inquiries, you get your answers. After that, what you should do? Serve. Seva. One should serve the spiritual master. But in modern education system, what happens? There is no, first of all, surrender. There is inquiry also is there. Sometimes people challenge and inquire challengingly. No submissive inquiry. And there is no seva also, especially in the college system. People learn, go to classroom, learn something, come back. Who is teacher, who is professor, they are not worried. You teach, take money, done. So when money is put in education, people can't learn knowledge. Means they can't get proper knowledge. You can get some information, but there is no build of character. The actual education purpose, what it is meant for, it is not there. Education is meant for the service of the society and the benefit of others, not for selfishness. Education, but in modern life, education is meant for earning money. Selfishness is there. So education is never meant for selfish agenda, but is also selfless service to the benefit of others. And when that is not there, and when the money is put into picture, then there is no education, there is no benefit the person gets. Character is not there. All selfishness only. What is in it for me? I will do this education because I will be, getting a job. I will get money, like that. Even devotees sometimes get into that trap. You get into job, earn money, and you can give some charity. But who worries about what is? No one is worried about building one's real character. Becoming submissive to the spiritual master, following a disciplined lifestyle which is set forth by the acharyas, being obedient to the superior Vaishnavas, controlling one's mind and senses. It is all become a sidetrack. But the main is job karo, earn money, maintain the family. That has become main thing. That is a side thing actually. Main thing is following the instructions, and that it becomes main thing when you do it as a service to Krishna. Right? But when the consciousness is not there as a service to Krishna, then it becomes materialistic. Therefore, it's very important to get trained under some person. Voluntarily put ourselves under a superior Vaishnava who can be, who is our well-wisher, who is, whom we trust, and get trained by him. Because of, by that, such a training, one will be elevated to a better position of a spiritual character. Otherwise, one's character will not grow. And without character, and without spiritual rising on spiritual consciousness, one cannot go back to Godhead. And obedience also, and following also has to be with the intelligence. Not that one bluntly follows, as is, follow the letter of the law and spirit of the law. And one should know the spirit of the law and not the letter of the law. Like there was an example of Guru and Shishya who is traveling in a horse. Guru is traveling in a horse, elderly Guru, and Shishya is there in the ground walking with him, and Guru has a lot of luggage in the horse. And as he is walking, something falling from some items falling from the Guru's horse, and he is walking. Shishya is also walking. But Guru says, hey, lift it, and pick it up. You should keep it back in the horse. Oh yes, spiritual master, you are my Guru, I am your submissive servant. Whatever you say, I will follow. I am completely dedicated. So then he removes and keeps it in the horse. Again he goes some further distance, something else falls. Then again he doesn't care. The Guru tells, hey, it has fallen down, lift it. Oh yes, spiritual, I am completely surrendered. Till now I did not know. If you told now, I will lift it. Yes, I will keep it. Like that. Then after some time, something else falls. And Guru tells, hey, you did not lift. Oh, again you told, you did not tell me. So whatever you tell, I will follow completely. I am completely surrendered soul unto you. I will keep it back in the horse. Then he tells, whatever falls, you should pick it up. Whatever falls, you should. First he gives a list of things. Okay, these are there in the items. These items are in the horse. He makes a list. Okay, this falls down, you should pick up. This falls down, you should pick up. So he gave all the big list. So then he went. Then after some time, some jerk came and horse became, they got jerk and like palta. He threw the Guru outside the horse and Guru fell down. And the disciple is walking. List में नहीं है. Guru list में नहीं है. So Guru is not there in the list, so I will not lift. Guru says, why you are not lifting me up? No, it is not in the list, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, you should lift me also. Oh, now I will lift you because you told. There is a foolish disciple who doesn't understand. One should follow intelligently. And later, same example, it is, whatever falls from the horse, you should lift. And later, the horse makes horse dung falls and he lifts that also. So this kind of following is not ideal. One should follow with intelligence. So that is very important. So one should not. So because main cause of material existence is what? False ego. In Krishna in 11th canto and Vidura Maitreya Samvada in 3rd canto, both the question arises: what makes a person experience material existence? Because the soul is completely spiritual and is completely liberated person, and body is dead matter, and it is anywhere dead. It cannot experience material existence. And soul also being completely spiritual cannot experience material existence. Then what makes material existence possible? So then both places answer is false ego. False ego is such a thing, is given like an ID card, an identity card. You identify with this body. Because of the identification with the body and mind and senses, one is made to experience material existence. So this material existence is experienced because of false ego. And the false ego thinks that I am God, I have to be worshipped, I have to be respected, and I should be the center of the whole world. That is the thought process of everyone in this creation. Living entity wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna, and he wants to, wants his own planet to enjoy, his own kingdom to enjoy. But if Krishna has to give him a separate planet to enjoy, how will he enjoy? He cannot enjoy. A lone person, how will he enjoy? Everyone wants to be God. And how can everyone enjoy being gods? So even if you put one God in one planet, how will you enjoy? Unless there is people to share the enjoyment with, subordinates or superiors. That is not possible. So creating one single planet for one jiva is not practical. He cannot be happy. Therefore, everyone has to put in a similar situation, but everyone should think that they are God. I am the center of the creation. For that is a wonderful creation Krishna has made is a false ego. You think that you are God. False ego is there. Everyone thinks that I am important. I am the center of the creation. Everyone should respect me. This is the world of false ego. So, and in order to destroy that false ego, one has to be submissive, develop humility. And to develop humility, one should follow certain authority. Therefore, with intelligence and with the scientific understanding, one should follow a superior authority, not in the sense of slavery, not with the sense of, as the modern term is coined, the slavery. Not slavery, but it is the intelligent decision to rise one's consciousness to a higher level. Without following a person who is in a higher position, one cannot rise one's consciousness. Therefore, it is very important to develop this quality of humility and obedience, submission, all this qualities to rise one's consciousness and controlling oneself. Discipline, obedience, self-control, one of the primemost qualities of a disciples. There is His Holiness Bhakta Sambat Maharaj is giving one example. How the modern scenario is. He was in Australia, and in the early morning he was walking on the streets of Australia. So one devotee happened to come from the opposite direction, and he paid obeisances in the road only. Sannyasis pay obeisances in the road only. Sometimes devotees pay also in the road. And some Australian person saw that. Arey, how can you bend your head like this to another person? It is, he directly came to Maharaj and he asked, why he is bending for you? How can he, fall down in the street for you? You are making him slavery or what? And it's like that kind of. So modern life, it has gone in some different opposite direction only. Because so much torture the society has been seeing, so that's why they have a wrong conception of this. To be submissive, to be serving a person, following authority, it is like a slavery thing. No. It is a very intelligent thing. It is a scientific thing. That if you want to be elevated to a better position, you have to accept a right qualified person and follow his instructions. By that, one will be elevated. Otherwise, one will be degrading only by following one's own mind and senses. So in order to control the mind and senses, in 5th canto also Prabhupada talks about how to control the mind and senses. And the two ways he gives. One is to neglect. One should neglect the proposals of the mind, which is against the principles of the scriptures. Another thing is to put the mind under a superior authority, superior intelligence. So very important. Unless we keep mind under a superior intelligence, superior authority, we cannot be advancing in our life. Therefore, following authority, authority means in the particular context of discussion, is a disciple following the authority of the guru, spiritual master. Therefore, one should be very diligent in hearing from the spiritual master. hearing from the spiritual master, noting down the points, what spiritual master expecting from me, and I should follow that very 10%. Reading Prabhupada books, understanding what is the expectation of Srila Prabhupada and devotees of ISKCON, and following them very diligently with a sense of sincerity and of purpose to advance one's, to rise one's consciousness to spiritual platform. Okay, any questions?
Ruji, my question is like sometimes we can use, sometimes we use our material identification for preaching or to impress upon some subordinate. But so in the mind it comes that no, I am identifying with the body or I am telling the material qualifications to that person. But inside it feels no, it is necessary, otherwise how will he obey me, or how he will get respect or reverence for me. So what should be done in that duality? Like sometimes it fires back also. We identify with body and we tell I am this, I am this, I am this, and the person like doesn't follow, then it hits back.
One should be, whether he is materially qualified or not, one should be spiritually very well qualified. So what attracts people into spiritual practice is not your material qualification. What is your spiritual purity? If you are pure, you may be Angutta chap, doesn't matter. They will be inspired. Because the spiritual knowledge touches the soul, not the brain. The material qualification, we also sometimes keep speaking about this devotee is from IIT, he done this and that, soft engineer, this engineer. Actually it is not required. Not at all required to introduce the speaker. Because the introduction of the speaker is in his Prabhupada also writes. The introduction of a person is in his speech, not in the what he has done in the material qualifications. We may say sometimes, but that we should not depend on that. We should not at all depend on that qualification, because that is not going to inspire a person spiritually. He may get impressed, oh, he's from this IIT, he's working in Google, I should hear him. They'll come and hear, but if the person is spiritually qualified, whatever they say will be inspiring to them. If he is speaking bluffing, then the spiritual inspiration will not come. So what is important is spiritual qualification only. So if a person is very well qualified in materially and is very well qualified spiritually also, then it is not required to introduce also. If you feel that he will absorb in that, usually it will not be, it just introduction only, it will be there. Afterwards no one is bothered where you come from. And that is true only. After 2-3 lectures they understand, okay, this person is this one. They see your character only, they don't see your first class. It's very impressive. Okay, he's from Google, he's from Microsoft. But after 2-3 classes they see your spiritual character. That doesn't matter. So what matters is spiritual purity only. Correct. That's my understanding. I don't know. Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for a very nice class. So those two words, Vishrambena and Gauravena, so there you are mentioning that it's with intimacy and with respect. But again, so familiarity breeds contempt. It's very difficult to both of them to maintain. It's very difficult. If you're serving,
one should hear from the spiritual master. Means he is serving, he has to hear also. If he hears, then he understands what a highly elevated personality is I am getting to serve. If you don't hear, then familiarity breeds contempt. You are only serving. You don't hear from the spiritual master. You don't read scriptures. Then that will bring contempt. But if you hear from that person also, then you will be thinking how fortunate I am to I'm getting to serve this personality. And such a depth of knowledge he has, depth of realizations he has. So you will appreciate. But if you don't hear, then it will run. Therefore, along with the service, one should hear also. Spiritual master, correct. No? Not only serving the body, but serve the spiritual master by hearing Vani Seva. Then one will not breed contempt. They develop appreciation by that. Fine.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Right.
Prabhuji, we hear, but we are not able to contemplate on it. So how to develop the mood of contemplation? After we hear, we contemplate on the points.
What contemplation?
Whatever lecture we hear of Maharaj or any somebody, we hear but we forget. So how to develop that contemplation?
So, Shushusho Shaddhadanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Shan Mahasevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevana. So we are hearing, but that hearing is not aligned with service also. Service has to be done, and service should brings out a taste in hearing. And one should consciously apply his intelligence also. That if I have to advance, I have to follow certain principles, and one should follow them also. And keep hearing, keep hearing. Because this is because of ignorance. We are hearing, but we are not able to apply because of avidya. So deep avidya is there. If ignorance is there, we cannot apply what we hear. But what is the solution? Keep hearing. Keep hearing and associate with devotees who apply who are serious, and serve them, please them. Then ignorance also will go away. So that's what. Solution is to come to mode of goodness. In mode of goodness, everything is clear, like sun in the sky. And you can see things as they are, and you will be able to you will get sufficient inspiration to follow the knowledge. Now we also know that we are not the body, we are spirit soul, but how much are we inspired to follow the spiritual activities completely? We are still attached to material world, material sense gratification, because ignorance is there. We are not able to follow that. We are completely spiritual souls. Spiritual means there is nothing we should do in material world, ideally speaking. No material sense gratification should be there. So that means what? We are not able to follow that knowledge. So that means we have ignorance still. So it is a process. It's a spiritual process. It takes time. So that's why following authority, sense of discipline, and service, sacrifice, everything is required. Maharaj one lecture is also there. Service brings knowledge into realization. Knowledge becomes realization when we perform service. Then we can talk about the Nishkama Karma Yoga, all that. That's a big topic anyway. And how the purification of the heart happens. So till the time heart purification doesn't happen, whatever knowledge we hear also, it doesn't make sense. We will not be able to apply. But that Atma Jnana comes, when you get that Atma Jnana, then the spiritual knowledge also it awakens. You can actually see things as they are, and it will be inspiring also. One will not fall trap into the material gratification, but one is dedicated to spiritual knowledge. But spiritual knowledge simply remains a knowledge only when the heart is not purified. Therefore, doing service selflessly, working with the Nishkama Karma, without result, expecting fruitive results. When one works, heart purification happens, and heart purification leads to self-realization also, eventually. That's why Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita is writing about bhakti only, because in modern scenario you cannot work without fruits. You cannot expect to work in a software company and don't expect a salary. You have to, correct, no one will be there like that. Then the people will exploit you. So that's why in the material outside scenario, it's very difficult to apply this principle of Nishkama Karma, selfless service. So at least in devotional circles we can apply. That's why Prabhupada writes only Bhakti Yoga for Nishkama Karma also. Right, no? Fine, is it okay? Any other questions? No questions, we'll end. Thank you very much for patiently hearing. It tolerated me for an hour. So, Shankara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna. So let us express our heartfelt gratitude to Abhimanyu Prabhu for such a fantastic class, beautiful shlokas and very nice points. By one time, loudly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Devotees can proceed for prasadam.